Hey, Bobby and Don, come on up. So John asked me to talk about what's going on in gaming. And the first thing is it's really exciting that suddenly people like you actually are interested in games. When all three of us started in video games, no grown-ups were interested, and they thought it was a hula hoop. So, hey, Bobby and Don, come on up. So these two guys are the people who are basically the leaders in going from the old video game business to the new video game business. So I thought we'd talk about it a little. And they're frenemies because every few years, Activision's got to make the trek up to Redmond, or Redmond makes the trek to LA, and say, what do you got, what do you got, no, what do you got, no, what do you got? And Bobby was saying, I got no leverage, and I said, just stand up really tall like you would if you're about to get eaten by a grizzly bear, and act like you're going to walk away and see what happens.
Morning.
So, welcome.
Thank you for having us.
So you guys both started back in, one in a college dorm, one in your bedroom in high school, as programmers of unsuccessful products. So what I've noticed is the people who can make technology transitions tend to have a deep regard for technology and kind of an innate experience. The people who try to lead technology change with PowerPoint slideshows seem to get left in the dust. So Bobby, I wanted to start asking you a couple questions. So you're kind of the Dustin Hoffman of video games. For anybody who's old enough to remember The Graduate, remember when the guy comes up and says, I only got one word for you, plastic? So how did you get this affinity for plastic? Guitar Hero changed the future of plastic forever. The Tony Hawk sensor board kind of makes plastic something fun to put under your feet. So dude, what made you go back to plastic?
You know, we were trying to get more shelf space, and we wanted, we didn't have a lot of tools in the arsenal, so we wanted to build bigger boxes. And the guitar was definitely one place you could go do that. I think, when you think about Nintendo launching the Wii and how important physical interface has become in the interactive experience, you recognize that those fantasies like unleashing your inner rock star, you really can't do it just with air guitar. You really want to have a physical guitar. The skateboard, for like 10 iterations of Tony Hawk, we would make these games that you would thumb, not skate, and that the real fantasy was actually wanting to skate. And I think now when you look at Kinect, there's a whole new way that people like to interact with what they see on the screen. Some of it is an actual physical product, but I think that's now indelibly linked to the interactive experience. I think you'll see many more DJ decks and skateboards and guitars and microphones, and these are all things that are a really important part of the experience.
So you kind of are the boss of plastic. Don, I don't know if you've announced publicly how many Xboxes have been sold, but the Xbox One, it was this trailer-sized piece of plastic. The Xbox Two is a little more elegant. You're kind of getting out of plastic. You've sold kind of closer to 100 million Xboxes over the years than less. I'm not making any announcements here because I don't get the private data from Microsoft anymore. But you're getting out of plastic. What's it like?
Well, what we're trying to do is solve approachability through our Kinect sensor technology. And the premise of identity, voice recognition, being able to track gestures, you can describe it as plastic-free or no controller required. But
it's good for the environment.
It's good for the environment, and it's good for people who are interested in having fun and don't want to have to take on the overhead of learning a machine interface and have the machine learn about the person.
So I saw you got quoted 1 million Kinects in the first 10 days.
We sold through 1 million Kinects in 10 days. We're really excited about that.
So 14 days ago, what was the over-under inside Redmond on first 10 days Kinect?
Well, anytime you ship something new, you hope, but you don't know. And I had a chance to spend time with Jim Cameron just a couple days before, and I said, what's it like whenever your films come to market? He said, I think they're good, but I tell you, a weekend after they've launched. So I'm happy to say that we went through that period and got a great response from consumers.
He's being modest. They bring the big bags of money from Redmond over to his office now. congratulate him for what's been an extraordinary launch. It's an amazing thing. I think my sense of what was the catalyst for Kotick, because Don really was the catalyst for it, but I think it was that overwhelming guilt having spent 30 years promoting a sedentary lifestyle. And now you're getting to that place where you can actually have a really physical experience.
I haven't actually heard anybody in the video game business ever say, you know, you guys, we promote the sedentary lifestyle. Moms, come talk to me. So, Bobby, you're sitting on top of the other breathtaking hit right now with Call of Duty Black Ops. And what was the over-under on that a week before ship compared to what you did? Under?
No, I think the internal expectations were pretty consistent with where we are. I think the thing that we're seeing for the first time in a game like that is that it's a broader appeal than what we've seen in any of the prior Call of Duty games. And I think part of that is making it more accessible. I think the social experience that you have in Black Ops is different than any other social experience that you can have today. And I think that
I love you, I'm killing you.
Or maiming you. But I think it really has gotten to a place where it is a broad, that's one of, like, unleashing your inner rock star, unleashing your inner soldier is definitely a big fantasy.
You won Christmas at my house a couple of years in a row with two daughters who were then teenagers. And it was really clear to me why the boys were playing the game. But it was also really clear to me that they gave each other street cred for dancing. And so, Don, connect. Are you T-Rex or are you, Dancing with the Stars?
Ooh.
I know there's multiple products. I just want to know.
Is there a third choice?
Is there a third choice? You could be finger shooting.
Well,
What's your game? Unconnect. What's your game?
Well, Dance Central is pretty fun. Seeing people get up and kind of make a social fool of themselves inside the living room is priceless in most homes.
I don't need hardware to do that.
But finally we got a video game experience that beats Twister. So you don't have to have that ugly piece of plastic on the floor that has to be washed down after a party either. Hey, Bobby, I learned recently, so both of you guys have long-term loyal business partners. And, as I start to get into my 40s, I start to think that's one thing to appreciate of people is that they take great people along loyally for a long time. So, Don with Paul Lee and with Hanno Lemke, these are guys who you had long relationships with, and Robbie Bach. And Bobby, probably the most famous long-term relationship you've had is with Steve Wynn. You guys have done a lot of things together. Does he have a nickname for you?
You can make one up if you want.
We had breakfast this morning, and I think Bobby shared something that...
Okay, so it turns out that he doesn't want to admit it, but Bobby is the Bubba of the video game business. Imagine being called Bubba by Steve Wynn. That must mean something. And it either means you can kill with your bare hands, or else he's got a secret on you so you can't rebut the nickname. So, Bobby, which is more fun of a launch? A World of Warcraft expansion like Cataclysm or a Call of Duty chapter like Black Ops? Which is more fun?
They're both fantastic. They're completely different audiences, but when you see like the joy and the enthusiasm, I was at the Black Ops midnight openings in Manhattan, and I'll go to the Cataclysm midnight openings, and you see like the passion and the enthusiasm. There are very few places where you see that kind of commitment and passion and excitement. And
how do the cops in Manhattan feel when they see people dressed in full uniform walking around the streets of New York at midnight?
They're used to that.
And which is scary to launch. I imagine the investment of Cataclysm, it's got to be about the same amount of bucks as Black Ops. So which gives you the most butterflies of nervousness along the development path? Or are they both such sure things? You don't worry about anything but whether to double down the ad budget.
I think the guys at Blizzard have one of the best track records in all of entertainment of delivering the highest quality experiences. The passion and the commitment that they have to making great games is, it's incredible and unmatched. And I think that they've been unusually successful at taking their time, listening to their players, really making sure that the games that they create are reflective of the audience tastes and interest, and they've done that again. And I think
do you have a sense of how much data they collect on Clickstream every day?
I think they're
you're paying for data centers, so you must.
There are probably over 2,000 people in customer service just for World of Warcraft, and they are very focused on making sure that they're listening to the needs and the tastes and the interests of the players, and that gets reflected in the game. That game is definitely the result of a lot of audience feedback, and they have a great relationship with their audiences that allows them to really prioritize what's important in the game.
A trillion clicks can't be wrong, right?
I think that they've had about as good a track record as a company as anyone in entertainment. It's amazing. You think about things like World of Warcraft in China, but it's probably the most successful Western entertainment franchise in China of any medium. Korea.
Better than Rocky VII?
Rocky VII was very successful too, but I think that World of Warcraft probably captured the hearts and minds of a few more people. In Korea, you look at StarCraft, and there's such an enormous cultural change that took place in Korea from StarCraft that, again, there's no real Western entertainment franchise that's been as successful.
So Don, Connect, how much did you spend before launching? So there's marketing, there's engineering, there's a lot of stuff. So I'm going to ask the check that you had to write before you're going to get first dollar back from manufacturing, in excess of $500 million?
Yeah, well, it definitely felt like it was in excess of $1 billion.
In excess of $1 billion?
That was an emotional feeling, not a numerical statement.
So Microsoft, if it doesn't have a B in it, it kind of doesn't count, right? Okay, that's not an announcement. This is kind of what he would say to a psychiatrist if he needed one, if Connect hadn't worked. So which made you more nervous, Don, before launch, or before announcing? Launching Connect and signing POs, or raising Xbox Live prices to the gold subscription?
Ooh, well, again, we've had a pretty great business with Xbox. We've got over 25 million members using it about 40 hours per month. And those people have been paying the same price for 7.5 years. So we wanted to add more value, more products into it. We did some consumer testing, and people said it was a premium service. So we knew that we were going to deliver some good stuff for consumers. So that didn't feel too nerve-wracking to me. With Connect, when we tested it the first time 2.5 years ago, the testing methodology we used was set the sensor up with an Xbox and have people who'd never participated in our category come up and use it. And the first time that I saw a mom with an 8-year-old child get up, start using it, figuring it out in 47 seconds, and leaving the focus group to come find someone from Microsoft to say, when can I buy it, I felt encouraged. And we just kept doing a lot of consumer testing, and we thought we had something, but again, you never know till post-ship.
So you have a teenage son and a teenage daughter. Whose instincts about Connect did you trust the most?
My wife's.
Good answer. Whoever would have thought that Microsoft would be mom-approved? And Don, so we were talking to Bobby a little bit about World of Warcraft. You have some World of Warcraft experience. In fact...
Bing and I, Kill Rog, and yes, Alliance.
Yeah, we were in Los Lomos. We had an Electronic Arts Guild.
Paul's probably watching. That's his character.
And you got to the highest level. It was very impressive while you were running this global enterprise. And suddenly you stopped answering in-game chat, because we would play World of Warcraft like some people used to play golf. We'd play World of Warcraft and talk about the day, the frustrations, and who was on the wrong track and what we ought to do differently. And so there's a lot of chat going on, and suddenly you stop answering my discussion. God, that was a terrible board meeting. This product, I think it's going to slip if you played it. And you stopped answering. What was going on, Don?
Well, there's a lot of peer pressure when you play Warcraft to keep up. And if you couple that with an international travel and work commitments, you make one of two choices, sleep or don't sleep. So there was a third choice that I found, which was there was a young person going to university who was an avid WoW player. So for that brief period of time, I was helping fund his university tuition.
Sounded like, though, 6 months is not that brief. And you got from level 60 to level 70 awfully quickly.
Yeah, I've noticed that your teams have kind of tuned that back a bit. It doesn't take as much time now.
From 0 to 60 is a lot easier now. I tell people who are starting their careers that if you haven't used Xbox Live and you haven't played World of Warcraft, you don't have a future. And other people call it the gamification of the world, but it's much easier to talk about what you need to do in your 20s to have a future. And the answer back is, Mr. Gardner Bing, could you please tell my mom that? Here, I have her right here. Last night, I sat next to this guy named Chris Wilcox.
Really tall.
He plays for the Detroit Pistons. He's 6'10", 235. When he stands up, the whole arena disappears. And I'm sitting next to him and saying, you play video games? He goes, yeah. Well, we can't make eye contact because the security guards will throw me out for bugging the players. He goes, yeah. I say, you got game? He goes, yeah. I say, you got Xbox? He goes, yeah. I say, what do you play? He says, I'm good. And I say, this guy next to me, he runs Xbox. And he looks over and goes, yeah? Call of Duty? And I go, well, have you heard of Kinect? And he goes, Black Ops? Can you get me anything from Black Ops? And I'm going, well, have you heard of this thing called Kinect? He says, that's the thing that kind of wraps around your wrist and around your finger and all this stuff. And so my question for both of you is, controlling the customer, who controls Chris Wilcox?
I don't think anybody controls Chris Wilcox.
Yeah, maybe Shaq back in the day. 6'10", 235, nobody controls. But who has a primary customer relationship?
I think it's one of the great things about the partnership that we have with hardware providers is that and I think we've done a better job now than we've ever done before of figuring out how to really build a great customer experience. It's a shared responsibility.
And
well, I'll just layer on top of Bobby's comment. At the end of the day, everyone here is working for the customer. So the customer controls us by setting a standard for quality, for innovation, for business model, for all sorts of things. So I know that I'm working for Chris even before he stood up.
That's kind of revolutionary for a Microsoft employee. So I want to thank you for that. So you guys get together. So I remember the day, but you guys must get together for business reasons, non-social reasons, a couple times a year. And you probably talk about, hey, Call of Duty, maybe I'm going to put it exclusively on Sony if you don't do something for me. Hey, Kinect, maybe I won't give you a development system if you don't do something for me. What are the topics when you get together?
Well, we set up a new room. We got one of those Ultimate Fighting Championship cages. And it's dedicated to just our relationships that we have with the hardware manufacturers. We usually come out battered and bloody.
No one believes that, Bobby. No one believes that. It's fun to work with Bobby and his team. They built an amazing business. They have a great understanding of some of the challenges of what it takes to build a service and run it at scale. So we have that, and they have some amazing products that our teams have been able to find ways to co-promote and push to record heights.
So, I mean, when you're talking about owning a customer, do you both get data on what the customer does when they're playing Call of Duty on Xbox Live? Is there kind of total joint ownership of data, or you got separate data?
I think Don really hit the nail on the head, which is they and we together are so focused on figuring out how you're going to deliver the best customer experience that they're very comfortable providing the data that's necessary to ensure you're going to have a great experience. And that, I think it's evolved over time because live is something that's really new. We have our own unique experiences at Activision Blizzard with understanding how you effectively support millions and millions of players online. But I think we've done a lot better job this time around than last year. I think when you look out over the next couple of years, you'll continue to see a lot more high-quality cooperation, and the audiences are going to benefit greatly. I mean, I think if you look at the amount of challenges that the audiences are facing today in playing the game, it's a lot less than it's ever been. I think we've committed an enormous amount of capital and time and resources, and as have they, to getting an extraordinary experience. And that's why I think you're seeing the numbers of people who are playing online and using live greater than ever before. But I think we're doing a very good job working together.
Don, live, how many people in customer service? Bobby said 2,000 on World of Warcraft. Of course, they charge more per year than live does.
Yeah, I think we're less than 2,000, but I bet you it's probably 1,000 people.
And so which customer service is better? Or do you trade ideas? Well, I know that in WoW, some of the customer service people actually become designers. It's still probably the best pathway without getting a master's program into design. And that harkens back to the early days of video games when knowing the customer actually mattered.
I think it matters more now than ever before, and being really rigid and disciplined about listening to your customer and making sure that, because you have incredibly passionate, vocal consumers, and they are really thoughtful and articulate about what they would like to see in a game, how you can enhance the experience. And I think if you take the time and you have the discipline to listen to what your customers have to say, you are going to create much, much better experiences.
And so I know in WoW, because I'm on the negative option plan, even when I don't play that month, I'm paying you to make sure that those WoW developers stay motivated. But so you're in the business of collecting directly there, and in Xbox Live, you're in kind of supportive business, and you're doing downloadable content. You know, how different does that feel to be working with Don, who's getting the Xbox Live subscription money? You had an interview about that just the last couple days of DLC versus sub. Did that ever kind of cause any friction, or are you guys just totally stable now on who gets the money for what?
I don't think we've had a lot of friction over that. I think most of these conversations get back to, you have these great customer experiences. What's the data that's required to ensure that they're going to be better than they've ever been? And in my experiences, Microsoft has been as forthcoming as they can. You have lots of privacy limitations and issues that, where they collect the data, what they're willing or capable of providing that will enhance the customer experience. But I think what we've seen in the week since Black Ops has been released is that they've improved tremendously in the provision of services on live to our audiences. And we have bigger audiences now than we did a year ago in the same time frame. And so, that was something that I think we spent a lot of time together really trying to figure out. And that's working.
Yeah, Don's really the only person ever on the platform side who wants on the publisher side. So he either has empathy that helps, or he knows all the tricks, which hurts.
His competitor, Jack Tretton, used to work at Activision, and a little bit different side of the business, but he's been doing this for 20 years, and I think he's got pretty good empathy too for what needs to get done.
Yeah, once you go through a couple cycles of negotiation, it gets pretty easy. You go, okay, I know I could spend a month arguing with you about this, but screw it, we're going to end up here. Let's just start there. So when did you guys first meet? Do you remember?
You and I met in 1983. You were my boss for a couple of years. And then we probably met, I would say, 85.
85,
Yeah.
You guys look exactly the same now as you did then.
You don't look differently either.
And so, let's see, I got a couple more quickies. So, beta. The beta period of your games and your releases seem longer than ever. how do you manage staying sane during these ultra-long betas? 'Cause I remember a time back in the early days of MMO, Don, when you did not have patience for big betas, and WoW is kind of the biggest beta kind of since the invention of the stone wheel.
I would say one of the great benefits of the merger of Activision and Blizzard has been the elevation of patience. And I think partly because we have the financial resources to do it, but we're now in a place where we can really take the time to make sure that we're going to deliver the best games. And that's an incredible luxury. And I think that it also, you have to instill that value into the culture. Blizzard had sort of that as a unique value of the culture. It's now, I think, been very well instilled across all of Activision Blizzard, but patience is rewarded. And it's a vocal audience that's willing to tell you through that beta process what they think of the product, what needs to be done differently. And now that the product is as much a service as an actual product, that period of time is invaluable to polishing and building and shaping the games to be extraordinary.
And that kind of patience might be the only difference between you now and you in '83. Hey, Don, same question. So how do you put up with betas?
Well, at the end of the day, whatever you create, you're trying to get over a certain quality bar. And beta links to achieving that quality bar of 85 or greater in terms of a Metacritic score. So you learn a lot from seeing how people are using products, and if you've got a great team of people who can take the feedback and incorporate it into the development cycle, product cycle, it puts you in a better place. And it's a lot easier to go through a longer beta period than to create something new from scratch. So it's
it blew me away on Connect that you had the patience to basically take a year from what looked shippable to me.
Yeah.
And I'd say Connect is bigger than anyone thought was possible and took longer than I could have imagined. So, congrats on that perfect launch.
Yeah, no, thank you. I have to, again, Brian Toby, who runs our supply chain, is a Giants fan. The best thing that happened for me was the Giants winning the World Series in a quick, decisive way and getting Brian back on task to get all the manufacturing logistics on there. So
yeah,
thanks to the Giants, because you really helped with this holiday season. Yeah, let's give it up for the San Francisco Giants.
So if that guy would have been called out at second when he actually was out, Connect might have missed its ship date.
Brian's a professional, so I never would have doubted him, but he definitely seemed to pick up his email.
So last question, who's going to own the TV of the future with IPTV, and when am I going to see Blizzard ship a TV set with WoW built in, and when am I going to see a TV set with Xbox Live built in? So
You're welcome to go first.
I think that one of the things that's happening today is that there are more displays with more microprocessors than ever before. I don't know who's going to be the first to really build that big, enormous installed base beyond what Don and Sony have already accomplished, because they have the biggest installed base of internet-connected TVs today, and they're providing a lot of essential internet services that go beyond games. Netflix is a great example, but I think when you look out 5 or 7 years from now, you're going to have a lot of connected, really high-quality, big displays that are going to offer better gaming experiences than we could have envisioned. And I don't know who's going to win other than the gamer is going to win, because they're going to have lots of options.
So are we ever going to see WoW on Connect?
That's something you'd have to ask Mike Morheim.
Let's see. So anything I forgot to ask?
I'd be interested in polling the audience.
Yeah. Well, here's a question on Connect. By when do you have to place your order to guarantee that your family has a Connect for Christmas?
Any time this week would probably be a good idea.
I think you're done. I think eBay is your...
eBay
is it.
Okay, well, I'm looking at the clock there, and it's now they keep adding time. That's either a vote of confidence or that's telling us they know that software is always late. So unless Patel wants to ask a question, maybe we should wrap so everybody can go drink. Any good questions from the front? So timeout,
she's
it's
saying
get
we
out
have
of
to
Dodge.
go.
Thank you very much,
Thank
Bobby
you.
and Don.